The towns of Elizabeth and Hanover lie in the hills of Joe Davis County, in the northwest corner of Illinois. The education system in these communities has always been in importance and has changed dramatically in the past many years. The school system in these communities began as country schoolhouses, formed the Elizabeth and Hanover town schools, and after many years has joined together as one unified school district known as River Ridge. Today, both the communities' past educational histories have helped form the success of River Ridge School has today. With many new developments that have been made to education, the ways schools teach now have been affected by the schools of the past. The education of the River Ridge School District began in the fields, hills, and woods of Joe Davis County. Because of the rural setting of Elizabeth and Hanover, the country schoolhouses were spread throughout the countryside. Country schoolhouses were usually one-room buildings with no electricity and nor indoor plumbing. These schools would have only one teacher and hold about 10 to 20 children between 1st and 8th grade. With only one teacher and so many kids to teach, the older ones would have to help teach the younger ones.
You know, the older kids in the schoolhouse, helped the younger ones. That's the only way you could get it done in a day, get all 8 grades. They would help the little, like the 1st and 2nd graders and 3rd graders. That worked out fine.
By doing this, the older kids would relearn the basics that they learned when they were young and would retain the information more easily. This style of teaching is called repetitive learning.
The learning was repeated year after year, like a little 1st grader would hear that for 8 years, or till they got to be an 8th grader.
One of the problems with the country schoolhouses was the fact that not all children attended. Some just did not go because they had to work with their families.
I was the only one in my class. There was one boy that should have been with me, Johnny Schulte, and they didn't send their kids to school. So he didn't come, so I was the only one in that class.
She was number one in her class.
Yeah.
Others, such as children of farm families, had to miss many days of school for chores. These kids would miss a lot of schoolwork, and because of that, they would drop out at the age of 14 to work on the farm.
The farm boys had to miss a lot of school to help in the fields, and I think some of them probably dropped out at 14.
Another problem was that there was no electricity, so kids would have to sometimes work in the dark on cloudy or stormy days.
Some didn't have electricity. The Allen School didn't have.
No.
Now, can you imagine that? They had gas lamps they had to use. When it would be a thunderstorm or something, it would get so dark in there. And we couldn't turn the lights on until it got real dark. I mean, they didn't want to waste any electricity.
For these reasons, schoolhouses began to fade, and by the 1950s, almost all of these schools were a part of the past. Out of the 21 country schoolhouses in the area, 2 school districts were formed from the towns of Elizabeth and Hanover. In 1889, the first high school in Elizabeth was constructed on 2.5 acres bought from a local farmer. The original building had 2 rooms upstairs and 2 rooms downstairs, and was heated by a wood furnace. Compared to the country schoolhouses, the Elizabeth School included 25 full-time teachers and 116 students. Other staff consisted of 2 janitors, 2 cooks, an office staff, and 7 bus drivers. Buses offered a better way of transportation for the country kids, as they could no longer make the long trek on foot to the town schools as they could the country schoolhouses.
In the buses, when did they come? They come our junior year too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I drove and took a load of kids every day to school. Yeah, that was dangerous too, really. We didn't have seat belts, nothing, but we lived through it.
The first permanent school in Hanover was built in 1863 and was constructed in present-day White Park. It was located there until 1929. A new school was built in January 1930 due to the growth of Hanover. Between 1940 and 1950, the town of Hanover grew significantly as a direct result of the Savannah Army Depot, which led to the expansion of the high school. In addition, these 2 town schools offered more extracurricular activities than the country schoolhouses, including elective classes, fine arts, and sports programs. These organizations help kids meet new people while having fun at the same time. One person who played a valuable role in the Elizabeth School was a man by the name of Jim Burgett. Starting at Elizabeth as a 7th and 8th grade math and science teacher, as well as a junior high PE teacher and basketball coach, Burgett became an influential teacher and eventually the superintendent of the school.
My superintendent, who was Mr. Burgett at that time, and he's tops in my book.
He believed that Elizabeth's success was due to the honest, logical, reasonable communication between the students, staff, and the Board of Education. The decline of populations in Elizabeth and Hanover, as well as financial concerns, led to the consolidation of the two schools during the 1985-1986 school year.
I think that's why the transition went so good. Went together. There was really no problem. Just everybody just went together. And
Seemed fine.
it's never been a problem. A lot of places, they end up, can't get this way. They go together. And I think that's why Hanover and Elizabeth, we just went together and just.
Well, Mr. Burgett
No problem.
helped.
Well, Mr. Burgett helped.
Yeah,
A lot of people helped.
a lot of people helped.
River Ridge was the new name of the school. It came from Terrapin Ridge in Elizabeth and the Apple River in Hanover. The new mascot was the Wildcat. The high school was in Elizabeth while the middle school was in Hanover, and there were two separate elementary schools in both towns. The success of the first basketball team helped the consolidation of the two communities go smoothly. At one time, Elizabeth and Hanover were big rivals against each other in basketball, so combining the two teams was seen as a disaster waiting to happen.
We had a winning team that first year, and Jack and I would go to the games and sit up in the bleachers, and we'd always be sitting beside Hanover people. We'd try to talk to them and mix with them. Everybody did. They were, so happy the team was winning, and don't you think that helped?
Oh yeah, I'm sure
it
they
did.
did.
That winning team.
The first team had a 26-1 record and won a regional championship, which helped unite the school and bring the communities closer. And it stayed that way for 15 more years until the next chapter of the River Ridge School District came into play. With the leadership of Superintendent David Wongstrom, in April 2001, plans to build a new school were put into effect, and 2 years later the new school building opened on 70 acres of farmland. In the geographic center of the school district, the new building is a 2-floor structure, and over 62 companies and contractors help in the building or providing equipment for the school. The advancements in technology at the school create a better learning opportunity for students to succeed and have led the River Ridge School in the right direction as far as education. The education in the communities of Elizabeth and Hanover has changed significantly in the past many years. From country schoolhouses to the Elizabeth and Hanover schools to the new River Ridge School, the education system has continued to improve and evolve in the area. Although the town schools may be empty of students and the country schoolhouses abandoned and crumbling, the River Ridge School District owes its success to the schools of the past.